Welcome to the Insomnia Project. Sit back, relax, lay back, stand up, whatever makes you feel comfortable in this moment. I'm your host, Marco Timpano.
I'm Amanda Barker.
Thank you for joining us. Of course, if you're a new listener, this is the podcast that's meant to help you calm your way to possible sleep. Just divert your attention so that you can think of other things and lull yourself. Our conversations are not going to be anything too raucous. They're going to be hopefully calm in nature, right, Amanda?
Most definitely.
So, Amanda, this is going to be a longer episode because we didn't have an episode last week and we're late this week, so we just are going to do a longer episode for our listeners.
I hope that's okay. I feel badly that we missed one. My pitch was we do a double. I guess this is a double.
This will be a double. It'll just save me time.
A double.
A double, which in Canada means 2 sugars, 2 creams.
And a triple is 3 sugars, 3 creams.
But we're only going to do a double.
And your sister does a 1/2 and 1/2.
Which there's no name for that. Canadians have a very interesting way of labeling things that seem very natural to us. And then when you tell people outside of Canada, they say, what? Like our $1 coin is called a loonie because on one side of it there was a loon, which is a bird, a water bird. Mm-hmm. It's actually Ontario's bird, if I'm not provincial bird. And our $2 coin is called a Toonie. So we have a Loonie and a Toonie.
Why wouldn't it be? It had to be called a Toonie. When we got a $2 coin, what else are we going to call it? Do you remember your first Loonie?
I remember thinking it was the most amazing coin ever.
It looked amazing. Like you went from paper money to this gold coin. It just felt, I was 13. I was new to Canada. And I remember I was waiting in line for the canteen, which is what we called our middle school, our junior high, didn't have a cafeteria. So I guess some people would bring their bagged lunch and just eat them at their desk. But like we had nowhere that we would actually eat, which was really a new and weird experience for me. Although I actually think it's pretty common. I'd love to hear about your cafeteria experience. But I remember, so we didn't have a cafeteria, but we had what we called the canteen, which was just a little roll top kind of window. And students would work in it with like maybe one teacher. And they would sell chocolate bars and chips. And that might have been it, actually, chocolate bars. Maybe pop as well.
Wait, that was your cafeteria, chocolate bar and chips?
It wasn't a cafeteria. We didn't have one.
Okay.
We had a canteen. That was it. It was a little, like right by the opening of the school, a little window, and you'd roll it up. I'm sure it's still there. And that's where they would sell chocolate bars and chips.
Oh, wow.
I thought it was the best thing in the world because I went from, having to eat school lunch or whatever. And then they were like, oh, we don't have a lunchroom. You bring your lunch or we're downtown. So you go and eat out, which I was like, excuse me, have I walked into utopia? Because I was 13. And so this idea of like hanging out with my friends and going to lunch and having lunch dates was this phenomenal thing. We didn't have many places to eat because it was, a small town in New Brunswick, Canada. But it felt to me actually, hilariously enough, very urban because we were just going downtown and eating out.
Did you have an auditorium?
We did. We had one of those gymatoriums.
Okay.
What are they called?
I would assume
cafetorium is what I've heard them called. But again, we didn't use it as a cafeteria. We used it just as it was a gym with a stage. Okay. I think that's pretty common though. The old gym with a stage.
I think that's very common.
Like and that's kind of probably the norm.
I think gymatorium is the perfect name for it. We had a proper cafeteria in my high school.
Right.
In my grade school, I remember just eating at our desk, and we would have, we'd have certain days where it was like pizza day where you could buy a slice of pizza for $1 and I think chocolate milk for 50 cents. That's how old I am, that something cost 50 cents. So if we had a loonie and a half back in the day, that would be fine. Do you remember, Amanda, the powdered chocolate milk? And it used to come in like a rectangular tin, and it had like a metal
Yes.
sewer grate on top, and you take the spoon.
Wait,
and
what? A sewer grate?
I don't know how to describe it, but it looked like
You had me. Then you very much lost me with that.
it was like a circular metal topper.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then
yeah.
you'd need to use the spoon to pry it off
Yeah.
to get to
Yeah.
the
I do remember
chocolate powder inside.
this delicious metal tin of deliciousness after school that you would mix with milk to make chocolate milk.
I'm sad they don't have that anymore.
Is there chocolate milk powder? Is that still a thing?
We have some upstairs.
Oh, do we?
We do, but it's like now it's just in a plastic cylindrical tube that you unscrew the top.
It's not the old metal contraption
No.
of our childhoods. It's interesting that you say, sorry, I'm still on the cafeteria thing.
Oh, sorry.
It's interesting that you say that you grew up with pizza days and that kind of thing. I actually think maybe it's a Canadian phenomenon that schools don't have cafeterias in them. Because it's true, my school didn't. Now, my high school had a cafeteria.
My high school did too.
But this was not a high school. And it was just, you just didn't have kids just either brought their lunch or ate at ate chips or whatever. Which is why I have this Toonie memory, Loonie memory, because the first Loonie was this girl, Adrienne Dawson.
Shout out to Adrienne.
Shout out to Adrienne Dawson, who moved to Alberta. And I actually Googled her the other day.
Oh my goodness.
And she's like a real estate agent. Yeah, in Alberta. I'm pretty sure it's her. When you look at someone, you're like, yeah, I think that's, because all you have is your childhood memory of their face or whatever. But anyway, I remember her being in line. She's like, I have a Loonie. And kids say stuff. And also I was new to Canada, so I didn't know. I just kind of took everything at face value of this is a thing. But it had just been introduced. I think I had been there like 6 months. And it had just been introduced, this concept of the Loonie. And so I looked at it, and there's just shiny gold coin in her hand. And I was like, what is that? And then you started seeing them more, and they were so special. But when I worked for a pizza company years ago, when my first job here in Ontario, I was dealing with the school lunch programs, and I couldn't understand it for a long time, why they were bringing in pizza from our company, why we had these catering programs in schools. It made no sense to me, because I was like, they were like, and people kept saying, well, they're for the pizza days. And I was like, but I don't understand. Like, they don't want to eat the pizza from the cafeteria. Like, I had no concept.
Sure.
That, any of that was a thing. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a law in certain states that you have to have a cafeteria. I think it is. But anyway.
We also, when in grade school, we had hot dog day. So it wasn't pizza day. It was hot dog, and you could buy milk or chocolate milk.
Right. I think we had hot dog day too, and I think it was out of like I said, the canteen.
The good old canteen.
Had hot dog day. But I mean, I never was like, you know what, I need a hot dog. Like, I never wanted that.
Sure.
What I wanted was to go downtown and eat, fried chicken with my friends.
Fair enough. Fair.
Which I did, which for my parents were like, well, whatever $2 can get you. So there was like a deal that they had for us kids at lunch where it was like, you get a drumstick and a pop or something for $2 or whatever it was.
So, Amanda, I'm going to just switch topics now.
I know, I'm really hung up on the cafetoriums of the world.
Our tulips.
Oh.
Our tulips are out, folks, and they're the white ones.
They've come to play.
They have come to play, and we have a little bit of a cold snap right now. Like, it's been a bit cold, a day of warmth and cold. And the last few days, it's been very cold. And the tulips love that burst of cold, and they last longer.
They do. They love it. Should we mention what day it is today for us?
You can, but for sure, do it. It's not a problem at all.
Well, today is our anniversary, folks. And not only that, it's our 15-year anniversary. And, of course, we both tried to take the day off, and it's just ended up filling up with, I have time on Thursday. But not to worry. We'll go out to dinner tonight, and maybe in a little bit we'll tell everyone the weird and wonderful things we're doing this weekend to celebrate.
Oh, yes. But tell us about those tulips, because they
So I planted them. I think I planted them actually before we got married. I think I planted them like when I first moved into the house. It was right around. It was either right before or right after. But I would say they're on year 15, those bulbs.
And they're a cream color, like a creamy white color.
I wanted white tulips. I love white tulips. They were all over our wedding was white tulips.
They're beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you get them?
Oh my goodness. Probably from the grocery store that is no longer there, that is now condos.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to bring up a sore spot for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not anything yet. It's a building site, but probably from there because that was close by, or the other grocery store that's still there.
Now, Amanda has this particular store she likes to buy flowers at when we're heading north, and we head north on Oakwood is the name of the street.
Oh, I thought you meant north, like up by the cottage.
Oh, and there is that store that we go to.
That big greenhouse situation up there.
We'll talk about that too. But on the way heading out of the city, there's a little grocery store. Not a grocery. What we call a convenience store.
I love, and what some states, like in New York State, they would call it a bodega, probably.
And what would they call it in the UK?
I don't know.
A shop.
I've never lived. Corner shop.
A corner shop.
Yeah, I've never lived in the UK, so I don't know. But probably corner shop.
We'll have to ask our UK listeners.
Yeah. But anyway, what we would call a convenience store. I love getting flowers from those places. I like supporting them. And I'll take it back even further. When you and I first met and were working together, way back, like 20 years ago now, every week, because we had this gigantic cast that we were performing with, it was a cast of 34 plus understudies, etc. So every week there was something to celebrate with that many people. Someone was having a birthday, someone was leaving the show or whatever. So I found myself inevitably wanting to give them something. So what I started doing was, there was one by my house at the time, more west in the city than I am now. And I would just go and see what they had in season. And for $10, 20 years ago, but for $10, I could always get a little bouquet of daisies or mums or, like a little thing of mums or hydrangeas or tulips if it was this time of year, whatever.
So if you had 5 Toonies, you could buy that. Or if you had 10 Loonies, you could buy those flowers.
Yes, math teacher, yes. So I realized that, it was nice to support them. They have these fresh flowers. It was convenient, obviously. So there is a place, that really has, they always have beautiful fresh flowers. And, it's not a huge selection, but it doesn't matter. If you just want to get a little burst of color, like, listen, I think we've established, I love flowers. I've always loved flowers. I will continue to love flowers. When my day on this earth is done, please write, in lieu of donations, please send flowers.
I'll say this. I've come to really love flowers. And I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, that a lot of men are conditioned not to have feelings on flowers. Rather, it's something you give women.
That's a good point.
And
I don't know, I just got these roses.
And I was listening to an CBC radio show, and they were talking to men and saying, like, we've been conditioned not to love flowers, but when you actually talk to men and say, what flowers do you love, or you talk to little boys who haven't been conditioned yet, they'll talk about how much they love flowers.
Right.
And so then I started to reflect, and I do like flowers. Like when we have our garden, I love looking at the flowers in our garden, or planting.
You have so much joy. You take so much joy in flowers.
Yeah. And those peonies that come up
one year you would just post, like, every week a plant photo or a flower photo every week. Do you remember that? A couple of years ago.
Yeah, because I know that for me, there was a time where I was trying not to post anything that was going to be controversial, triggering, or whatnot. And I was like, what can I post that is friendly and fun, and I can still stay connected with friends? And flowers were one of the things. Food, of course, and hotel carpets. But I have to give Michelle Miracle credit, because she's the one who first started posting hotel carpets, and every hotel has different carpeting.
It does. Some brands, like chains, have their own sort of carpet.
And when you go to conference centers and hotel, they have the particular carpets. So I started to post that, and I have to give a shout out to Michelle Miracle, one of our dearest friends, who we also like to buy flowers for. We just bought flowers for Nima, her husband.
That's right.
And I bought him a prayer plant. And he really loves it. It makes me so happy, because we had prayer plants. And so I said, this is okay if you have cats, like it's not one of the plants that you have to be careful of if you have plants. And he just showed me a little video of it, of his prayer plant opening.
Nice.
And he's like,
when
really,
did we get him a prayer plant?
he
Last
helped
year?
me with the class I'm teaching.
I
So I
see,
sent
yes.
it to him.
Yeah.
And it was his birthday recently. So a shout out to him.
We sent him sunflowers.
Happy birthday, Nima. I haven't spoken to you since your birthday, but I will. And we need to have Nima back on the podcast. So, Nima, if you're listening, let's make a date to have you on the podcast because he's a fan favorite. People say, when's Nima coming back?
Yeah, he's awesome. They're both awesome. They're good friends. And yeah, and I do tend to send them flowers. They live in California, so
They don't have flowers.
I don't know what flowers are. Yeah, there's no. What I was going to say is there's no shortage of flowers near them, so it's a beautiful, easy gift to send. But I sent them to my parents. It was their anniversary a few weeks back.
They have a tree right outside their balcony, which hummingbirds nest in. And so Nima will send us pictures of the hummingbirds and the flowers that the hummingbirds go to. It's really quite beautiful. But anyways, this bodega or this convenience store, this corner shop is where we buy flowers, and they have a plenitude of beautiful flowers.
Well, and that place was always on the way up to go see your aunt, your mom, etc. So if it was a holiday and I just wanted to bring a little arrangement or bulbs in a pot kind of thing, like a hydrangea or something, then it was a great place to stop and grab two. So I'd always get one for your mom and one for your aunt or one for your sister or whatever. So yeah, it's just has been a convenient place to go.
It's just tricky to park. Amanda will do what she calls live park in front of the...
Which I don't know, maybe it's a term my mom invented. You know, when you move countries when you're 13, you don't know what was just something your parents or your family said, or if it was like a regional country thing. And I will forever be trying to decode it all, but it's what my parents always called when you're not, I think we call it idling here, when you just park the car, but it's still running.
You might have your four-way blinkers on.
Yeah.
So what is then define for our listeners what rock star parking is, what we refer to as rock star parking?
When you pull right up to a place and you've got the perfect spot, you can get right out.
That's our rock star parking. All right, so that's the convenience store flowers. What about this one in the north of where we are that you were referring to?
And I think technically it's in Bradford, Ontario, which you might not have known.
Look it up, folks, because it's an exciting town.
I forget what the name of the actual place is. It's one of those gigantic greenhouses.
It's Bradford, not Brantford.
There's Brantford and there's Bradford.
Brantford is where Alexander Graham Bell lived.
That's west. Yeah, and Bradford is north, I think.
I thought it was Innisfil.
No, it's...
Springwater? Is it not Springwater?
I don't know. You know what? I mean, it's a place that is part of a municipality that has a name, but then again, it's like a highway and a big field and then this massive greenhouse.
We're talking Simcoe North.
For those who know, which barely we would even know, Simcoe North. Simcoe, by the way, is a lake.
Named after Lord Simcoe.
Yeah.
So, Amanda, what would we find in this greenhouse place? We found some pretty great things. We got my mother this really cool hibiscus tree.
Yeah, that's true. I can't believe they've had it going all year.
They brought it in, and then my mother wanted to bring it out in April, and I was like, it's not going to survive. You've kept it all winter long inside and have been very judicious with watering it, making sure that it survives.
I think we got it for Mother's Day, maybe, or her birthday, both of which are coming up, by the way.
Yeah.
So, we got her this massive hibiscus tree. And again, thinking that'll be nice and then whatever, it's
a tropical flower.
Yeah.
We can only, withstand so much in Canada.
But your mom, being your mom, was like, oh, we'll bring it in. And it's flourished. They had Christmas ornaments all over it. I mean, it's a massive tree, truthfully. So now it's, I guess, time to bring it back out.
That's right. And it had like peachy pink.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call that color, peachy pink?
Salmon.
Salmon-y colored
hibiscus
flowers.
Yeah. Coral in that world.
In that world, indeed.
Mm-hmm. So, what were we talking about? The greenhouse?
That greenhouse in Springwater / Bradford.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, you get a cart and it's massive and there's an indoor section and an outdoor section. I love going to those places because they remind me of my mom.
Oh, okay.
She loves gardening, and all through my life sort of fostered this idea of like going to those places and picking out things and what are we going to get? And you and I don't do a ton of it, but once a year we do go there. I tend to end up buying as many indoor as outdoor plants, but we sort of do our back deck and have things hanging and have it all ready. And every year I kind of make this thing both here and up north of like, we live in a climate that will always support this. And my brain gets tricked into thinking this is our life now and it's wonderful. And then the fall comes.
The fall takes it all away. Are there any flowers you want to see in our garden this year?
Out here?
Yeah, here.
No, I mean, I like the bulbs that we have going. Did we get dahlias in last year?
No, I don't think we
Every
did.
year I'm like, dahlias. We got to get into the dahlias because those are the last of the year. I thought we planted some.
Well, the problem is the city has dug up our front
Yeah,
so
we
many
talk
times.
about this so many times.
And I don't think our pink tulips are coming, which reminds me, I'm going to...
Did you plant pink tulips?
I planted those like 50 bulbs of pink tulips that came up so beautifully last year.
Oh,
From, we went to that big bulk store that I love.
right.
And they had 50 tulips.
It's amazing that these white tulips, after 15 years, are still going strong.
And tulips...
They're deep in the ground.
Tulips after a while get a bit wonky or they don't blossom like they used to. Not these.
No, I don't think so.
Really?
I think they get stronger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think if the pink tulips aren't coming up, they just, like, after a few years, like, one thing I notice with tulips is when they first come up, they're pretty short. And you're like, but I want the long tulips that everybody has. But now, those white ones were really short when they first came up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and now they're much longer. They're long, beautiful stems. Just takes time with tulips.
We had these fascinating tulips that a friend brought us from Holland or the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
And they were really interesting looking. They weren't the prettiest tulips. They weren't they were definitely eye-catching.
They were very bulbous.
Yeah.
So they were very full. And they were so red that they were black.
Yeah. And the city, I don't know what they did, dug them up, got rid of them.
To be very honest, I'm surprised the white tulips have remained because that was a massive dig. Like how anything survived in that dirt, I don't know. So.
We have a fire hydrant on our front property in case anybody's wondering why is the city digging up our front. And another shout out to Michelle Miracle who collects pictures of fire hydrants. So if you have a fire hydrant in front of your property, send a picture on our Instagram and I will tag Michelle Miracle in it.
Yeah.
And so they've dug it up because they've been doing fire hydrant work as a city does.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when they come to dig, they don't pay much attention to the beautiful flowers that we curated in our front. And so now we have, it's funny because the white tulips, there's 4 in a cluster and then one way off by itself.
That got moved. But they're more or less where I originally put them. So that means that they were as deep as it could possibly get. But the peonies have come up, which is like, talk about resilience. My goodness. The fact that they're even still happening at all. They're coming up.
So grateful. I think they were my mother's or my grandmother's.
They're
I
I know. There's always a confusion of
my mother's. My sister has my grandmother's.
And we have your mother's.
And I have my mother's, so.
Inherited plants. And we did have Dale's grandmother's sedum. Because when her grandmother sold her house, Dale was like, she took a bunch of sedum.
And she's like, I don't have a front yard. Can I temporarily plant it in your yard?
We've been housing that. But then, of course, the city had other plants. I think one survived.
I think there's a sedum. I do like sedums, I have to say.
They're okay. They're pretty hardy and they're fine.
My favorite flower, as you know, is the anthurium, which is a tropical flower. And that's very waxy looking. And I've always liked it when I was a kid, and I used to watch this program called Fantasy Island because they would show them.
I like you say this program. I feel like most people would know of Fantasy Island, no? Of a certain age.
Of a certain age. So, as a kid, I was like, oh, look at that flower. And I had never seen one because they weren't bringing them. I don't think they could bring them to Canada, or they were very expensive or whatnot. And then, as years go by, they start appearing, and I was like, oh, that's what it looks like. And so I've always had a fascination for it.
It's so funny, right? Like, I imagine there are a whole bunch of people, elderly people, that still have that feeling about oranges. Because I know, like, at Christmas time, it was, especially in British tradition, to get an orange in your stocking. Because it was this very tropical splurge of a fruit that would blossom during Christmas time, right?
Sure.
So to get an orange was like, wow, you know. But now we live in this world where you can just go to the bodega, yeah, corner shop, convenience store, and get, you know, whatever, whatever veg or fruit or whatever is there. So.
All right, Amanda. So as we mentioned at the top of the program or the podcast episode, we're going to go longer because we didn't have one last week. But the week before, we did some poetry readings, and we got a lot of shout outs or people reaching out saying they enjoyed it. So people just really enjoyed it. They love the way you read poetry.
Oh, really?
They were a little bit shocked of the poem I chose.
Well,
I didn't realize
that's what proofreading will do. Do people know the poem and know the words you were deleting?
I have a feeling people looked it up and then really saw what I was. But we got a really lovely message from one of our longtime listeners, Charlotte.
And Charlotte has a child named Alex, and Alex created a beautiful, looks like a painting and with
collage,
collaged words on top of a painting of Mary Oliver's Wild Geese.
It's so nice.
Beautiful.
And it just happened to coincide with the fact that you read that one on the program 2 weeks ago.
And I want to just describe the gorgeous painting here that's here. And again, I think Alex created it for Charlotte, but in any event, it has, you can imagine, it's a field of beautiful flowers. In fact, it looks like, let me look at what these flowers are. Kind of looks like, and it has a very impressionist style, which is just beautiful. Like, I'm just trying to think of what these flowers would be. Lupins.
Lupins are gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks like purple lupins, I think, which in New Brunswick are everywhere at this time of year.
I've tried to grow lupins here in Ontario. I've never had luck.
No, lupins like the East Coast. Those are the pink and purple flowers. If you've ever driven out east at this time, you will see them everywhere. They're those cone-shaped pink and purple flowers all over the sides of the roads of the Maritimes. So I think there's lupins. There's definitely, looks like almost like pink daisies, gorgeous. A lot of white flowers, so it could be any kind of white ground cover type of flowers. Looks like daffodils in the distance. I mean, just beautiful.
They did an amazing job on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have to
some
say.
Violets, maybe those like little bluebells. And then there's sort of mountains in the distance, a gorgeous cloud, little sprinkling of clouds. And then, of course, for the poem Wild Geese, some wild geese.
Oh, it's so great.
And I think in this one, they're flying back home. They're flying north to us here.
To us.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlotte says she'd like to hear us read Wordsworth
Okay.
or I can't remember, Emily Dickinson or something.
Emily Dickinson can go pretty dark.
Okay.
I did a whole thing on, I'm, by the way, related to Emily Dickinson.
Amanda's related to a lot of people.
Yeah, especially if they're from Massachusetts and lived in the 1800s, solid chance I have some of their DNA in me. And Emily Dickinson for sure I'm related to. I forget what cousin. I can look that up if you want.
Sure. I'm going to read a Wordsworth poem for you, Amanda.
All right. You read. Wait. Which one are you reading?
I picked one that I thought was appropriate to the podcast and one that did not have any inappropriate content, shall we say. This one's called A Slumber Did My Spirit Seal.
Yeah, it's a very famous poem, Marco.
It is? Okay.
Yeah. Do you know anything about Wordsworth?
Not really.
Okay. So Wordsworth was one of the Romantic poets. And Wordsworth, Keats,
Not Irving Layton.
There's four of them, and now I can't think. But anyway, we'll give the credit to Wordsworth and Keats. They are kind of considered the fathers of Romantic poetry, right? And they really found, they wrote in the 1800s, and so you have to think that was a time where there was great industrialization happening.
Sure. And
so for them, they found the beauty in nature.
Oh.
And it was that return to nature, to get out of the city, to get out of, for them, London, and to go back and find solace and peace and beauty in nature. And so This was considered a very romantic notion, you know.
Sure.
So because of that, sorry, I'm trying to sign into this thing to find out about Emily Dickinson. Because of that, you know, it was a movement, and it was kind of a new idea at that time.
I love that. Okay, so I'll read this poem, and it's called A Slumber. Well, I should try to say it properly.
Well, yeah. Are you okay to do a
I'm
cold
okay.
read of it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. It's not. It's a semi-cold read.
What we call in the business a cold read.
cold
when
read.
someone hands you something and you just have to read it.
A slumber did my spirit seal. A slumber did my spirit seal. I had no human fears. She seemed a thing that could not feel the touch of earthly years. No motion has she now, no force. She neither hears nor sees. Rolled round in earth's diurnal course, with rocks and stones and trees. William Wordsworth. That's a good poem to exercise your mouth, I have to say.
Just give me one more second here as
No,
I figure out how I'm
Amanda
related to
knows more about poetry and authors, especially Canadian authors. Amanda knows quite a great deal, so I always defer to her with regards to that. So
Canada was all uncharted, new, exciting territory for me when I was young, and so it's kind of always been that.
It's interesting that you talk about the romantic poets.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of reminded me of what the Group of Seven did with paintings at that time.
Yeah.
So if you are not familiar with the Group of Seven, group of painters in Canada from the 1920s and 30s and 40s, and they painted beyond that too. But I've always loved their work. So if you get a chance, I'll post some on our Instagram.
And since it is our anniversary today, I should mention that you proposed to me in front of one of the Group of Seven's paintings, Lauren Harris's painting.
Who's my favorite.
And there's a story behind that. I don't know if we want to share that, of why, but he did propose to me there at the McMichael Gallery in Kleinburg, which is considered the home gallery, I believe, of the Group of Seven. And we continued that. Another member of the Group of Seven painted the cross at the church that we got married
That's
under.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I actually forget which one, though. Do you remember who?
Which church or which artist?
Which Group of Seven person?
It'll come to me. I just can't think at this moment. He's also one of my favorites.
Should I just list all the people that I'm related to? Because I'm scrolling through them.
Amanda's.
Do you want to hear? This is going to put everybody to sleep.
Okay.
All the really boring old people I'm related to. When I get to Emily Dickinson, I will
stop.
I will stop.
Okay.
And by the way, if you're still awake and listening, and if this is hopefully will soothe you, but if it has piqued your curiosity, you can always go to familysearch.org, which is what I did on a whim when I was in Salt Lake City in Utah. And there's a huge genealogy institute there. And we didn't know that, but our friend, Michelle Miracle,
Shout out to Michelle.
And she said, that's one of the things you kind of do here. And so we went and plugged our names into the computers there, and the elders there helped us out. And it was a fun journey. And so you start to build your family tree, and it's a way to do all that.
And
so
it's free, right, Amanda? That's
it's all
why,
free.
That's
yeah.
why you mention it. What's the site again?
familysearch.org.
Yeah.
So the one that's better known is ancestry.com. You didn't hear from me. They might all be owned by the same person.
Okay.
Same people. Like it's all the same thing. So, I mean, your history is your history.
Rumor has it.
Rumor has it. Yeah,
Rumor
it's
has
true. I don't actually know that for sure. So, anyway. So on familysearch.org, I've found, now it's a little bit of a trickier website.
I will say this. If you do go on that website and you type in your name and nothing comes up, you're in good company, because that was that while Amanda had just a roll of people come up, I had no one. So fret not, you're in good company.
This is what happens when you're from one state that has a lot of history and nobody ever moved until you did. Anyway, here are the people I'm related to. We're going to start with leaders. John Adams. So these are all presidents. I'm going to mention.
Right.
John Adams, also known John Quincy Adams.
Oh, the Q.
Benjamin Harrison, lesser known president. Franklin Pierce.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Roosevelt.
Also president. James Madison.
Good stuff.
Oh, sorry. I keep clicking on it and then it shows me how
James Madison is the street in New York, Madison, which the movie Splash then named the mermaid
Oh,
played
really?
by Daryl Hannah, and there wasn't a person's name, Madison.
Yeah,
first
we watched
name.
Splash recently, and I the one thing I remember from the movie that I explained to my niece and nephew who were going to watch it with us, we watched it at Easter, was I said, no, there's a moment where she says she wants her name to be Madison because he's looking at the street names, and he says, Madison, that's not a name. You can't be named Madison, but she liked the name, so he's like, fine, your name is Madison. And as we all now know, Madison is an extremely popular name. In fact, it's so popular, it's not as popular anymore.
Right.
But maybe 10 years ago, there were a lot of baby girls named Madison.
Because of the movie Splash. And if you haven't seen that movie, I think it was Ron Howard's first movie, it holds up. It's quite lovely.
Yeah, it's a lovely little film. And I watched it a ton as a kid, so I remember that moment. Anyways, back to presidents I'm related to. Herbert Hoover.
Oh, yes.
Which, if you're into musicals, you might remember the song "We'd Like to Thank You," Herbert Hoover.
H.H.
From Annie. Anyway, Franklin Roosevelt.
Oh, finally. Okay.
William Howard Taft. Calvin Coolidge. Rutherford B. Hayes.
My favorite, Rutherford.
Millard Fillmore.
I think I stayed at the Fillmore Hotel in New York.
I'm going to see how I'm related to him. Oh, through my mother.
What would he be?
He's my sixth cousin.
Okay.
George Washington, you might have heard of him.
Across the Delaware.
Yeah. Thomas Jefferson.
Oh, he was
I'm
pretty
still
good.
on presidents.
Wow.
James Garfield. Abraham Lincoln.
Okay, I need to know how you're related to Abraham Lincoln because I don't believe that.
Through my mother. He's my seventh cousin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Once removed?
Through a lot of the same people, actually. Yeah, it goes back to John Howard and Dorothy in the 1500s, I dare say, in England.
Okay.
Yeah. John Tyler.
Good old Tyler.
Ulysses S. Grant. Martin Van Buren. They're still presidents. Zachary Taylor.
Wow.
I should really learn my presidents. James Buchanan. William Henry Harrison. Unfortunate looking mug there.
Back in the day, that was the look, man.
It was it was William's look. Richard Nixon, you might have heard of him.
Yes.
Also related to.
How many cousins away are from him?
I am Richard Nixon's ninth cousin.
Oh, so you're closer related to Abraham Lincoln than you are to Richard Nixon.
Yeah, and Richard Nixon is through my dad. Theodore Roosevelt. William McKinley. I mean, this is just all the presidents.
My goodness.
Everybody but Obama, basically.
Okay, fair enough.
James K. Polk, Warren Harding.
Yet we don't know. Obama might appear in your tree because they come up.
Yeah, it reboots the more they find.
Right.
Through Obama's mom, who I think was originally from Kansas. They lived in Hawaii, but
right.
I think was from Kansas, so it's possible. Diana.
What's Diana?
Princess Diana.
Okay.
It just says Diana.
Well, the funny thing is you're talking to all these presidents.
and then it's Diana.
Okay,
Princess
wait. How are you related to the Princess of Wales? And I don't believe this.
I am related to her through my dad. And she is my 10th cousin once removed.
Okay, at that point, I don't think...
John Forbes and Constance Mitchell.
Oh, good old Constance Mitchell.
From the 1600s are how we're related. That's what I mean. I mean, I think a lot of people can do this on Family Search. I don't think this is particularly unique to me. Winston Churchill.
I could see that.
Great.
What's your relation to, let's see if you're more related to Winston Churchill than Nixon. That's what I want to know.
No, I'm more related to Nixon. Winston Churchill's my 10th cousin.
So was Nixon, wasn't he? He was 10.
He wasn't. No, I think Nixon. Nixon was, hang on. I'll go back. I'm not at Emily Dickinson yet. He's my 9th cousin. Okay,
so Nixon by 1 degree more.
I think I did all these already. Winston Churchill, Lyndon B. Johnson, John F. Kennedy. I want to look at that one.
You would think he's from Massachusetts.
Yeah, through my
Kennedy.
mom.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, but I actually haven't. But the thing is, I'm related to Kennedy again through Baron Henry Stuart, First Lord Methuen or something in the 1590s. So he's my 11th cousin. So through like Britishy stuff, not through Irish stuff. I bet I'm more related to Kennedy than that though, because I haven't dealt with my mom's father's side yet.
So, Amanda, when you go in there,
Dwight Eisenhower, I have more,
Okay.
and Harry Truman. Those are all that's pretty much all the presidents, except for Clinton and Obama
I'm telling you.
and Trump.
Yeah. So, Amanda, when you go into that, you just type in your last name and some information of who you're related to, and then it'll start.
You do all the
populating
information you have. You do
Okay.
your birth dates. You do your parents' birth dates. Any information you have on your grandparents' birth dates. And that'll start really when you get into your parents and your grandparents. Then it's going to start digging things. It's going to find marriage certificates. It's going to find death records and birth records and all that stuff. And it really depends on who kept the records.
Mm-hmm.
I think in New England, truthfully, they kept good books.
I see.
I think that's what it comes down to. So it's not like I'm particularly special. I think they had really good record keeping.
Gotcha.
You know, it wasn't, oh, Bob had a kid. It was like, you know, come in, write it in a book, put that dusty book in the in the library or wherever the office was for the town. And
it's so funny. Like mine, on the other hand, is like I have some information of my like not distant relatives, so my grandparents and maybe their parents, and then it goes from there to Roman times. So my last name is a Roman.
There's a big gap.
There's a huge gap there.
Of like 1,000 years.
And my ancestors would make drums, and that's the name Timpano. So they'd make drums that would they'd either fix drums or make drums that were used in wartime in Rome. So that's how my lineage goes.
My sister asked me once, at the time I had asked her what, the person she was with, how they were special to her in a weird and unique way that kind of felt almost like, I don't know how to describe it. And for her, it was that this person had seen a certain band that she loved at a certain time of when they were playing and that she was obsessed with. Very random little thing. And so that this person had gone and seen this band at that time.
Right.
And so she said, do you have something like that with Marco? And I said, I thought about it for a second. And I said, his last name means drum. In my family, we grew up around drums. Drums were part of our lives, always, in every way. And so I always felt that was I love that your last name means drum. It feels very special to me.
There you go.
But I'm related to the Wright brothers. I'm not going to go through all of these people.
That's why you love to fly.
Should I go through all these
We
people?
don't have that much time for you to go through all your...
Henry David Thoreau. Speaking of poets, here we go. Emily Dickinson. Emily Dickinson is my... Oh, and then it just rebooted. Hang on.
No more. It's a suspenseful moment here on the Insomnia
Emily
Project.
Dickinson is one I am not... Some of these I'm surprised I'm related to. She is one I am not surprised.
Okay. Because you write great poems?
Depressed woman in Massachusetts. Yeah, I can see it, who sat and wrote poems. And okay, she's my sixth cousin.
Oh, so
through my dad.
That's impressive.
Yeah, we're actually pretty close. Yeah.
So how did that work? Just give us the lineage of that so we can follow. And then we'll end with that.
So my dad's mother, Dorothy Haydock, her mother, Hazel Belcher, Hazel Belcher's father, Franklin Belcher, his mother, Sarah Fitchlock. And I'm going to say this, that little line of what I just said.
The Fitzlock line?
Yeah, the Sarah Fitchlock, that's a lot of the Mayflower-y people.
So,
go back that way.
So Fitchlock, what's her name?
Sarah Fitchlock.
Sarah Fitchlock.
She was born in 1815.
She's the key to your relations.
A lot of them, not
Okay.
all of them, but a lot of the Mayflower-y New England-y people.
Okay.
Her dad was Frederick Locke. His mom was Abigail Maynard. Her dad was James Maynard. His mom was Lydia Ward. Lydia Ward's dad was Richard Ward. And Richard Ward's parents were Eleanor and William Ward. And William Ward had a sister named Elizabeth who gave birth to Increase. This woman's name was Increase Ward.
We don't hear that lovely name.
Increase.
This is my cousin, Increase Timpano.
Increase Ward.
Great name.
Increase Ward gave birth to Tabitha Ward, who gave birth to Ebenezer Fay, who with his wife gave birth to Jude Fay, who with his wife gave birth to Elizabeth Fay. And with her husband, they had Emily Elizabeth Norcross, who was Emily Dickinson's mother.
There
you go.
Wow.
My sixth cousin.
Thank you for that journey.
Me and Emily.
My goodness.
And yeah, I did me and Julie Stiles and Natalie Buckingham did a presentation on Emily Dickinson in grade 11. And we each read one of her poems and blew out a candle.
Oh, wow. That's dramatic.
It was very dramatic. We got a good mark on it.
Do you remember the poem you read?
It was all like death, something about death's door.
Okay.
Or death down the road or, something like that. Something, but I can probably find an Emily Dickinson that's not as dark.
Sure.
Because she did write other things. Let me just look.
And we'll end with that because we're getting to our double episode time.
Mm-hmm. Stand by.
Now, I will say this, that years ago, I had a radio show at the university, and I would cover a lot of art stuff. So I would go to the Toronto International Film Festival. Stanley Tucci at the time had a film called Big Night. And if you haven't seen it, it's a really great film. And it was sort of the hit of the festival. And Stanley Tucci, I know, is from the area of Italy, Calabria, where my father was from. So I was desperate to get an interview with him. And it was really challenging because he was really sought after. So everybody wanted to interview him. Graciously, I was interviewing Tony Shalhoub, who was in the movie, and Stanley came in. And when I saw him, he's like, I said, I'm Marco. He goes, oh, you're Marco Timpano. Everybody's been telling me that I should get an interview with you. And that's because in the film, there's a dish he makes called Timpano. And so we were talking, and I said, and what's funny is I've always said this, Stanley Tucci looks a lot like my relatives. So he looks like someone who could be related to me. My uncles. He has a face that's very familiar to me. There's certain aspects to his face that even reminds me of my father. And so I was talking to him, and I said, I wanted to know what town you're from, where this dish comes from, because my name is Timpano. Where's your family in Calabria from? And he said Cosenza. And I said, I'm from Catanzaro. And I thought that maybe there was a connection there. He goes, where in Catanzaro? And I said, my father's hometown, which is a beautiful town called Serra San Bruno. And he's like, that's where my maternal grandmother's from. And that's where this recipe is from.
Wow.
And so immediately I thought there must be some relation there, though I haven't been able to look it up because, as I said, it goes from my immediate family to Roman times. So hopefully this family org will make the connection. But the town is not a big town, and I know that there's a lot of, when you go to monuments and they list names of soldiers or people in the town, there's a lot of Timpanos and there's a lot of Tuccis. So either at some point they mingled or they were sworn enemies. But that is the closest I can come to a connection that I made, not through that site you said, but just by happenstance.
I am having the hardest time finding an Emily Dickinson poem that doesn't end up not so great.
Okay, fair enough. So why don't
I do a Wordsworth?
Okay, let's do a Wordsworth in its place. Are you related to Wordsworth?
Probably.
Okay.
I like Keats too, so maybe I should
then do a
Keats. I'm not reading Kubla Khan though. Hang on. Sorry.
I gave her all that time. I gave Amanda all this.
I went through, you have no idea how many Emily Dickinson poems I just scanned through, and I was like, oh, two girls talking. Oh, nope.
It's funny, that's what I should have done with the Irving Layton poem. I'll tell you who wouldn't have had problems finding a poem is your cousin Increase.
Good old Increase Ward.
I want to know what happened to Increase Ward. She sounds like the most interesting person in your
all right.
tree.
We're going to do Ode to a Nightingale.
All right.
Because I do remember loving this poem.
And we'll end the episode there. Thank you for your patience with regards to episodes and our delay. And we hope this double episode has made you smile at the very least.
So this will be excerpts of Ode to a Nightingale, because I do remember loving this poem back in the day, and I think it's fitting for our podcast. So here we go. My heart aches, and a drowsy numbness pains my sense, as though of hemlock I had drunk, or emptied some dull opiate to the drains. 1 minute passed, and Lethwards had sunk. 'Tis not through envy of thy happy lot, but being too happy in thine happiness, that thou, light-winged dryad of the trees, in some melodious plot of beechen green and shadows numberless, singest of summer in full-throated ease. Fade far away, dissolve and quite forget what thou among the leaves hast never known, the weariness, the fever, and the fret, here where men sit and hear each other groan, where palsy shakes a few sad last gray hairs, where youth grows pale and spectre thin and dies, where but to think is to be full of sorrow and leaden eyes despair, where beauty cannot keep her lustrous eyes, or new love pine at them beyond tomorrow. I cannot see what flowers are at my feet, nor what soft incense hangs among the boughs, but in embalmed darkness guess each sweet wherein the seasonable moth endows. The grass, the thicket, and the fruit tree wild, white hawthorn and the pastoral eglantine, fast fading violets covered up in leaves, and mid-May's eldest child, the coming musk rose full of dewy wine, the murmurous haunt flies on summer eves. Forlorn, the very word is like a bell to toll me back from thee to my soul's self. Adieu, the fancy cannot clear so well as she is famed to do, deceiving elf. Adieu, adieu, thy plaintive anthem fades past the near meadows, over the still stream, up the hillside, and now 'tis buried deep in the next valley glades. Was it a vision or a waking dream? Fled is that music. Do I wake or sleep?
And we hope you were able to listen and sleep.